First of all, we want to say thank you for all the positive thoughts, because it did not rain, except a few little sprinkles on our walk down here. So that certainly worked out perfectly. We want to thank the Homestead and Museum Board for their wonderful hospitality. I said there's no better historic place in DeWitt County to have an historic presentation than the front lawn of C.H. Moore's house. So we thank them once again for their extensive hospitality today. And we want to welcome once again Mr. Jesse Fell, Mr. Clifton H. Moore, and Abraham Lincoln. And they're going to do a presentation for us today entitled Our Early Days in Clinton. So this is an original script, I know, because I wrote it. So if you don't like it, you can blame me for it, because it was my work. So, but please join us once again in welcoming our special guest.
Good afternoon. As Miss Edith told you, my name is Jesse Fell, and it is my honor to accept your invitation to visit Clinton today, one of the places that I can truly call one of my many hometowns. As some of you may know, my friend Mr. James Allen and I first spotted the potential for a town here in 1835. We were traveling from Decatur, a town in that direction, to Bloomington, a town situated in that direction. And we stopped on a beautiful mound. Why, we passed it on our walk here today. And if memory serves, it was Mr. Allen who said this would be a beautiful site for a town and a county seat. And I believe I told him, that's a capital idea. And before we knew it, a quarter section of land had been granted on October the 3rd, 1836, and a new city was born. Now, we needed a name for this place, so I suggested Clinton, in honor of DeWitt Clinton, the governor of New York, who had passed away in 1828 while in office. And perhaps I should share this front porch of this magnificent home with my two friends, Clifton H. Moore and Abraham Lincoln. They played important roles, as did I and Mr. James Allen, in establishing this fine city that you all enjoy today.
How kind of you, Mr. Fell. I welcome all of you to my home. Standing here on the front porch of my former residence, why, it reminds me of my early days in Clinton. Seeing my home so well cared for brings me great joy. But I must also acknowledge the deep sadness that this home has seen. I lost my first wife, Elizabeth, here in 1872. Our children, Arthur and Winifred, they were my consolation. I was fortunate to marry my second wife, Rose, a woman with whom I had many things in common. But my story here starts in 1841, when I came to this city as a young lawyer. I came here in August, felt something like this, and my future prospects seemed much brighter than my arrival in Pekin with just $5 in my pocket.
Yes, but you had plans for the area beyond the practice of law.
As I was saying, I found Clinton to be filled with promise and potential. Together with my friend and partner, the Honorable David Davis, I invested in the fertile farmland of Illinois.
David Davis. A fine lawyer and a finer man you'd be hard-pressed to find. Why, he and I had many business dealings together. And did I tell you about the newspaper that I began in Bloomington? Or the university that I founded in Normal?
You did not.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, my two esteemed friends are quite proud of your fair community, and especially of their own contributions that have made this such a vibrant place. I actually have a very soft spot in my heart for Clinton. My associates that helped me get myself established as a lawyer in these prairie towns, without them, I don't think I would have ever made it to the national capital. I was thinking about that as I stood next to my likeness in your Mr. Lincoln Square. You don't know, Mr. Moore and I were law partners years ago, and Moore, I am still to this day indebted to you for your support. I think of all the times that we spend in DeWitt County Courthouse, which apparently you've moved, but we had some wonderful times there. It made me think of many times that I spent in Clinton, 20 years nearly, as a circuit riding lawyer on the old 8th Judicial. And Farrell, I'm as indebted to you as well, and thankful for your support, as well as what would I have done without your suggestion to initiate a series of debates with Stephen Douglas. I've never had a better suggestion. In fact, it was on this very day, and I think, yes, about this time I was beginning my very first debate up in Ottawa. Thankfully, I got a little better as the debates went on, mercifully. But without these two men, and of course Mr. Allen, Clinton would not exist. Many men and women went past that little man without notice.
And may I say that I love what John Warner has done with the site of Clinton's founding. The Prairie Passage green space and all those trees. I so admire trees.
They called him the tree planter in McLean County.
I don't mean to brag, but much of the beauty in this area of the Grand Prairie is from my estate.
Well, as a man who loves the prairie and all it has to offer, I give you full credit for populating Normal with trees in your day. We also share a love for the fertile farmland that surrounds us. My greatest source of pride is the land purchased and cultivated during my association with Judge Davis.
On my way here, I got to thinking about the many nights I spent in Clinton. Probably hundreds of nights. Oh, my associations here were amazing. And those nights, without the hospitality, that so refreshed me on those journeys. And then there were any number of nights in Barnett's Tavern with friends and associates that certainly lifted my spirits after long days.
Riding the circuit town to town on horseback.
With nothing but my legal papers in my hat to assist me.
What fond memories of Clinton has this visit stirred for you, Mr. Moore?
Crossing the railroad track. The businessmen and lawyers of our day recognized the great potential of the railroad. Of course, few towns benefited more from the railroad than Clinton.
That's right. Land speculation and railroads, railroads and land speculation. What a combination for our contemporaries.
Self-made men, willing to take risks. Those were the traits of the men of our day. And beside us, strong women willing to support us through hardships and all manner of challenges.
I trust that is still the case today, lady?
And for your part, Mr. Lincoln, Clinton has long been remembered for the remarks you've made that have endured forever.
I assume you're referring to my comments about my worthy opponent, Mr. Stephen A. Douglas?
You assume correctly.
Well, I still stand by it. Because they're as true today as they were then. You know, you can fool some people some of the time. You can fool some people all of the time. But you cannot fool all of the people all of the time.
Right.
Am I correct?
Of course you are. Those immortal words delivered on the lawn of the gathering outside the county courthouse will live on forever.
Our humble friend here, who went on to serve as the 16th President of the United States, yeah, he made a name for himself in those country courthouses. But I remember people calling him Honest Old Abe before he'd reached his 50th birthday.
It was your honesty and legal skills that helped me persuade the voters of the eastern states that you had potential as a presidential candidate.
Yes, well, I suspect that was a tough sell in the beginning.
Well, not to be too critical, but it was your appearance which was the bigger challenge. Mr. Lincoln was a tall, ungainly man, and in his frock coat and linen pants, he stood apart from his well-dressed colleagues. But that did not stop them from listening to everything that he had to say.
Well, I take no offense. Your description, at least of my appearance, is accurate, and I think what people thought of me is humbling. But I learned much from my lawyer colleagues about the law. I hope they could say the same about me.
You know, on this occasion, celebrating 187 years of Clinton's history, I hope you will indulge our recollections. For the three of us, your community represents the start of our careers and all we hope to contribute to our country.
Clinton was but one of several cities that I had a hand in settling.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Every day is a Founder's Day for Mr. Fell.
Well, not every day, but a good number of them. Let's see. If you look at my involvement in the founding of Towanda and Dwight, and of course Pontiac and Livingston County, that's quite impressive for one man, you must admit.
Any others you'd care to mention?
Well, I could mention the Fell Parks and Pontiac and Normal, but as I say, I don't mean to boast.
Yes, well, I will admit you did have a gift for settling prairie towns.
Why, thank you, Mr. Lincoln.
We would be remiss if we did not recognize the trail of history left by Mr. Lincoln in Illinois. Lincoln, Illinois, and the many, many schools and streets, Mr. Lincoln Square, among other places, too many to count. But most importantly, his hard work to heal our nation during and after a time of war. Much of that history is on display at the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library and Museum. Have all of you been there?
Yeah.
Well, I'd have to admit I learned a few things in that museum myself.
It is amazing to all of us, the progress that Clinton has made since our day. You know, when I came to this community as a young lawyer to set up a legal practice, about a dozen families called Clinton home.
But the county boasted a population of 3,200 or thereabouts, scattered across 400 square miles on farms. We had a few things going for us in DeWitt County. 10 stores, 2 tanneries, 3 sawmills, and a distillery.
I have to say something. Being back here takes me back to the early days as a lawyer, traveling around these prairie towns. I think of our fiddle-playing state's attorney, David B. Campbell, lived in Bloomington, but traveled from county to county, just like the rest of us, with a judge and a coterie of circuit-riding lawyers.
Well, I saw no evidence of horseback riding counsels in your court.
It did not take us long to see that the pure practice of law would not provide sufficient means to support a family and the lifestyle we desire. After I became a land agent for the railroad, my means were greatly enhanced.
Well, I can endorse your legal skills. You were, after all, my lawyer. Thank the good Lord, we saw the value of the land surrounding us. Clinton flourished as the railroad grew. Stores and homes sprung up all over town. You really owe your roots to the railroad.
Before you depart the grounds today, I hope you will come inside for a tour of my home. I'm especially proud of the library. Some of the best hours of my life were spent there. Books, as you know, were my passion.
And the addition of the Vespasian Warner Public Library. Who knew your collection of 7,000 books would contribute to such a great library?
Oh, dare I say, I'm not surprised. My son-in-law, Vespasian Warner's generosity of money and land was certain to be a great investment in our community. So many visions, so many dreams realized right here in Clinton. I thank you for your invitation today. It has truly warmed my heart.
And I thank you for your hospitality once again. It is the same as it always was, and I wish your community continued prosperity.
And I am heartened and touched by my visit to Clinton today. And I hope to have the opportunity to meet with some of you as we linger on these lovely grounds a little longer. Of course, I am more than happy to sit for photographs with anyone who would like.
And with that, we bid you good day.
Introduce our talented actors today who I think did a wonderful job of helping us have a brief little presentation of what is really living history, letting storytellers come back and actually tell the stories themselves. So first we have John Poling from Bloomington, Weinberger, also from Bloomington, Pine, who's with the Lincoln Institute from Springfield. We also want to thank our cake servers today, the owners of the McGill Restoration Center and their friends, our friends from Woods Photography and EMC Photography who are recording this for future generations to see what we accomplished today, and WHOW, which is around the corner, doing a live broadcast today. So with that, I invite everybody to have more cake and please come inside.